I'm delighted that we can gather this way. And it's interesting that we have this unfortunate phrase of social distancing, where it really is physical distancing, because we're being together now. And we're in various stages. I saw the wonderful hello from, I saw New Zealand, and I saw Australia, and I saw UK, and I saw many areas, Palm Desert in the United States, people from all over. And aren't we lucky to be able to share technology this way? How fortunate in light of such misfortune that's happening in the world right now. And so as we gather for this finger meditation tool meditation, I was reflecting this morning about the finger meditation tool and how it came into our lives. Someone actually in the very early days came to Grace Cathedral, and they had been working with just a kind of rough draft, something, they had it on paper, but somehow they said, wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to put this full size? And as you know, then we made it in wood, and we made it, now it's in plastic. Now it's on paper. Now the finger meditation tool is used so frequently. I'd like to start with a few reflections about what's happening to us. It's unprecedented, we all know that. It's dangerous, we all know that, although 80% survival rate is really a good percent. It's worldwide, so we're all in this together. And it certainly put everything almost out of business. I mean, it's certainly quieted, and nothing is happening in the world except for most of us, I think. But most of us are, as Dawn mentioned, shelter in place. But there's a lovely quote that I'd like to suggest that we reframe that in some way. And this may have to do with your time with your finger meditation tool today, but are we sheltered in place, or is there another way to understand that? And this is a lovely quote, thanks to Catherine Anderson sending me this from Karen Campbell, who I just communicated with. I asked her permission to use this lovely little quote, and she said, oh, this is wonderful, I just got off my Labyrinth. And so she's given me permission to use this. She says this: language is powerful. Language is powerful. Instead of social distancing, I'm practicing compassionate retreat. Instead of isolation, I'm in solitude. Instead of shelter in place, I'm an artist in residence. And I think that's really a lovely way of thinking about this time inward and this time in our homes, this time certainly staying close to home and allowing ourselves to think about, I know each of us have in some way, how do we use this time? How do we use this time to quiet down, to slow down, to focus on what needs our attention? Someone in our lives may be ill. Someone may be worried. All of that needs our attention right now. And so as we gather together to do our finger meditation tool together, let me explain a little bit about how we would do this. First of all, I would imagine most of us are pretty familiar with finger meditation tools, but perhaps not. We wanted this to be a broad invitation. I know we have folks joining us from the Labyrinth Society as well. Anyone who loves to walk a labyrinth or likes to hang out around them, or doesn't know about them but wants to hang out around them, this is an invitation for you to pass on for our next time together, which will be next week. With a finger meditation tool, over the time, one of the things that has gotten lost in kind of just the minimal directions. Of course, we're going to use our finger to move through here, but to use, I would suggest, your non-dominant hand. Your non-dominant hand. Yeah, I see some surprises on people's faces. Now, it depends on how much time you have to spend with it as well, but also, if your non-dominant hand and then you use a different finger, you get a different meditation. Why? Because their fingers, literally, our touch, are wired differently in our brain. So it's something for you to experiment with. And if it feels too challenging to use your non-dominant hand, that's fine. You make up your mind and you do what works best for you. So I'd like to move us into this meditation before we start the music with a poem. We're moving from, at least for me and many of us, we're used to walking and doing an open-eyed meditation. We're used to walking outdoors. I just went and checked the Labyrinth that we have locally here today. And I was thinking, gosh, we're using our eyes for everything. But then when we move to a finger meditation tool, we're using our fingers. So let me introduce this poem. This is by Kit Kennedy, and it's called A Psalm to Resilience. I thought my eyes took in the world, recorded its beauty, grandeur, proclivities. Certainly my two eyes touched what they saw, took the measure of each hummingbird, butterfly, raven, and robin, stored the spiritual compass of my daily living. But eyes, grand as they are, need fingers to stir the soup, make a risotto, fold an omelet or laundry. Eyes cannot paint a field of poppies, hold a pen, cut carrots, wash fruit, set a table, light a candle, hold a grandchild or a cat. In this moment, I am praising the 10 digits which extend from my hands. I wash them often with the ritual and joy of a baptism. Like love, my hardworking fingers, vulnerable, yet resilient. That's a poem, Psalm to Resilience. So I'll begin music. And again, you're welcome to turn off your camera or turn down the sound of the music. It will be around 10 minutes and we'll certainly be coming back in. We'll be using each of our finger meditation tools, and so however you want to use that, whether it's your non-dominant hand or not, feel free to spend this really next 10 minutes or so allowing yourself to, wow, go inside, be present with what's really going on for us, say some prayers, all of that, however you want to use this time. Take a moment and let the peacefulness of the music and the resonance of your meditation sink in. Let those feelings hover. So, how many of you have your labyrinth in your life that is you're able to go to during this time? A couple of us are really lucky. And of course, we're giving instructions to, if you do have a labyrinth, and in California, we're really respecting 6 feet away. So we're advising people to walk the labyrinth one at a time, or simply be, if you're coming near someone, you would step off the path and move around in another way. But for those of us lucky enough to be able to do that and have a labyrinth, but finger meditation tools are powerful. They're very powerful, especially when you can't connect with a labyrinth outdoors, a walking labyrinth, where you use your eyes. It's good to use your fingers. Well, I'd like to end with this rather, I think, well-known by now, well-known poem by Lynn Ungar, U-N-G-A-R. She just wrote it on the 20th of March. I see Linda shaking her head. She knows it. Great. And so it really puts things into perspective in terms of what we're going through. And no surprise, the title's called Pandemic. So let me read this because it provides some food for thought. So she first of all talks about, what if you thought of our shelter in place as a Jewish tradition considers the Sabbath the most sacred of all times. And here's the poem. Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling, give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down, and when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has become clear. Do not reach out your hands, reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. So thank you all for being here. And as we mentioned, we'll be here again next week. We'll be in the Christian tradition, Good Friday for sure. And be safe, be loving, be compassionate, and especially loving to yourself and compassionate to yourself as well. So thank you all. Take care.